Technology works.
Please be with us on our side.
We are going live up in this piece right now. Beach hair don't care.
Beach hair don't care.
From Hawaii.
Seriously. Now we actually, some of you, no, I was going to say we could spin it around and show some of you, but if you guys, I wish you could see our setup that we have going right now. There's like two phones and 2 computers.
We are technologically very savvy right now.
We are hitting all possible angles right now.
We are.
So if we are looking at you and talking somewhere else, please be with us. Please bear with us. We're really excited. Oh, Amber.
What up, Amber?
Yes.
What up? I see lots of the homies on here. Mike, Elizabeth, Anita, Heidi.
That's right. We've got our Burning Man people in the house.
What up? I see all my Instagram homies in the house as well.
Yes.
So good to see you guys. So today we're talking about influence.
Yes.
Influence. Why? Why are we talking about it?
Well, I would love to actually just firstly share, this conversation could go 1,000 ways. So questions if you want, and we'll riff on a lot of things.
Yes.
But for my people, I just want to quickly introduce you in case you don't know. I mean, a lot of you probably do. But I want to introduce you to Alexi Panos.
Hi.
And for those of you who have maybe started following her, who don't know and need to be reintroduced, Alexi Panos is such a glorious, glorious human. She's actually one of my favorite humans in the world. So she is up to so many amazing things. She absolutely walks the talk with influence, with leadership. She is a coach, a transformational leader, a leader of the Bridge workshops. Unfortunately for her, married to Preston Smiles.
Very unfortunate in Emily's eyes.
He's awesome. He's just been surfing, so I can talk about him like that.
She can totally talk shit on him right now.
But he's got so much amazing stuff to share. And really one of the things I always say about Alexi that I think really stands you out is that she really is an embodiment of everything that she teaches. And that's something that we're going to speak about today, because that's something that's so key and powerful with being a leader, is actually showing up as who you're saying that you are.
Totally. And I have really awesome hair.
And she has amazing hair. I mean,
that hasn't been washed
in
days.
Still looks good.
Ocean hair.
Yeah.
You as well.
We're rolling. I mean, I'm in my swimsuit.
I'm in the outfit I've been wearing for the entire week.
Seriously. Yeah. We're keeping it casual.
Keeping it real here.
It's island time. But we are being very productive.
We are very. So productive that we can't even change and wash our hair. That's how productive.
Too much to do.
Too much to do. For those of you on my feed who don't know Emily Gallagher, she is the owner, operator, brainchild behind the Conscious Boss Clique. And I actually met Em not that long ago.
No, crazy.
We have become fast friends because she is a woman on a mission, and she's a woman who actually embodies the work she teaches as well. Funny how that keeps coming up.
Interesting. Interesting listen there.
That's going to be part of building a network.
Theme.
Definite theme. Em does events all over the world. She runs business boot camps. She's a maniac like I am about business and strategy and impact and influence. And I think that's a big thing. You know, we're not just in business to make money and to have a business and to be an entrepreneur, but we're in business because we want to make an impact and support others. And she supports people who want to get into conscious business to do it in a way with structure and strategy and all that beautifulness.
All of that Capricorn stuff.
all that Capricorn stuff. Capricorn and Virgo here. We got productivities in the house.
Seriously, we are cut from the same cloth.
We are. So Instagram, hello. Facebook, hello. We are doing our best to get all of our peeps in on this conversation because it's a really important one.
It's a super important conversation. Yeah. I mean, so Alexi and I really have we're here in Hawaii. We're just at Burning Man, and then we're here in Hawaii. So we've been spending a lot of time together, and we have a lot of conversations, and it's like a lot of conversations we're like, we really need to do a live about that. We need to actually just share some of this stuff out, because there's so much like behind the scenes in the business, you know, and doing business and showing up in business. And it's like, okay, we need to talk about that. Lots of people don't either see it or know about it or realize how important a lot of this stuff is. So it's like, let's jump on and just share as much as we can with, you know, the people, with our glorious people, to help all of you have more influence and impact and basically step into the lives that you want to be.
Exactly.
living.
And that's one thing we noticed. And first of all, we'll just say, guys, we're like awesome people that feed off of all these hearts and loves and happy faces. It's like food for us. It's like soul food. So give all that, like, get your fingers all crazy on there.
Shameless love chases. We
love love. We love it. But it actually shows that you guys are engaged in the conversation. You're listening. You're liking. You're taking it in. And for us, that's what really matters, because this is a really important conversation to have, because we recognize we live in a day and age now with technology, where technology has kind of like pulled out the middleman, and everybody with a message and a mission has a platform.
Yeah.
And while there's so many beautiful gifts in that, there's also so many beautiful challenges that come up as well, because it looks a lot easier than it actually is. And I think a lot of people have this idea that, oh, I'm just going to start my business and I'm going to hang my little hat on the thing outside and I'm going to call myself a blank and everything's going to be a success.
Yeah.
And that statement alone sets you up for failure, because a lot of people don't understand what it actually takes to lead, to create influence, to be an authority, to be an influencer and an expert. People don't understand the man hours that it takes. And in today's very fast, I want it now culture, we expect things to just happen overnight, because that's what it looks like on the internet. Everyone just is an overnight success, and they've got 6-figure launches, and as if they haven't been working on it for years at a time.
It's the whole thing. It's like the 10-year overnight success, and I think it's like equal parts. Absolutely, you can create anything that you want to create, and it's like also being really armed with the expectation of what it really takes to step into that. And I think this, the word influencer is such a hot word right now, and it's like, people calling themselves influencers, and the whole influencer kind of space that's kind of become, hot property. It's like, what does that word even mean? And who gives who the authority to call themselves an influencer or be an influencer and talk about influence? And so I think, that's something that was, I think I see people getting caught in the trap of like, okay, looking to people who are influencers or calling themselves influencers and also comparing themselves to, seeing the numbers and getting caught in chasing stuff that doesn't actually matter. When really it's like, how are you going to serve? How are you going to show up? How can you impact and influence from a place that means something, as opposed to being disempowered by this whole world that's opening up?
Totally. And
totally segued away from what we were talking about.
No, but this is perfect. There's 2 major points in this that I want to highlight. The first is you have to earn influence. You have to earn authority. You have to earn expert. You have to earn it by doing the work and being an embodiment of that which you're teaching. Do not teach things that you are not living. Do not teach things that are not a part of your practice. That is just completely out of integrity. And unfortunately, we see it all over the internet nowadays. People claiming this and that and blah, blah, blah. And while we're all for like, yay, we want to support your dreams, we want to support your dreams from a place of integrity. So make sure, first of all, check in with whatever it is that you're up to, whether you're out there and you've already got 1 million followers, or if you're just starting out. Am I in integrity with what I'm actually practicing? And just a little caveat, this doesn't mean you have to be perfect.
No.
Doesn't mean you have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. But you get to share from a place of authenticity from where you're actually currently at.
And integrity. Please. Integrity. I think you really hit on it there. And like Amber, I just see Amber over there. And she taught me the word integrous. I really truly only learned the word integrous recently, but it doesn't sound like a word to me. But there's like being in integrity. It's a real word. It's a real word. But I mean,
I'm drinking water out of a wine glass, by the way. This is not wine. Yes, I'm pregnant, but it's water. It's my fancy water.
That's how we do it here. We don't really drink, so we drink water out of wine glass. It's lush life.
Very lush.
But it's like, integrity to me is such a sexy, it's so sexy. Like, I just find integrity, like, and that's just, it touches everything. Like, being in integrity in your life, being in integrity in your relationships, being in integrity with yourself. It's definitely not about perfection, but it's like, having integrity and earning integrity and keeping integrity with your word. And I think this also comes like twofold. It's like being in that space for yourself, and then also being really discerning with who you're putting who you're giving influence in your own life, and who you're giving authority to in your own life, and being really discerning with that, like checking, because we live in that world where it's like people are hanging their hat out on the door and saying, this is me and this is what I'm about. But it's like being discerning to really check into that. Okay, so is that person showing up that way? Do I want to give them influence over my emotions, my thoughts? Because we're getting influenced all the time.
My bank account.
Yeah, right? So we have to be super discerning in this space that we're now all living in.
Oh, yeah, because we don't realize how much we're actually being influenced by others. So this really comes down to network, and we'll kind of talk about why network and why community is so important. And for us, in our world, community is everything. Nobody goes at this game of life alone. The only thing we do alone is die. Sometimes we die with other people. But it's a tribal game here. So when we're really intentional about our tribe and our network, we start to realize that our network begins to influence everything. And if we're intentional about it, then all of a sudden we have a network of intentional people who are intentionally building their lives. They're intentionally affecting others around them. They're intentionally showing up in integrity. They're intentionally showing up in vulnerability, authenticity, and love. And that intentionality creates a world that looks massively different than being with a network of people who are complainers, in victim mode, blaming everybody else for why their life's not working, and talking about shit they're going to do, but they don't actually do it. That creates influence as well.
Lexi and I have so many of the same, like,
oh my God,
Achilles heels, that it's just like, no, seriously. Yeah, I mean, this is one of my favorite topics, and something that I see in terms of community and network. And it's just something that I see getting so underrated in so many people's lives.
Yes.
Like it's almost like people are very flippant around who they let into their world, who they let into their space, and that comes from anything from like social media and then like directly in your world, what you're spending your money on, who you're spending your time with, because that literally, like, if you changed one thing, and if it was your relationships and who you were surrounded by,
everything
in your life will change. Yeah. And it's like, that's drastic. Like, that's a big promise.
Huge.
But it's true.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And a lot of people think that means like having to get rid of the people that they're currently surrounded by, or like, well, what if it's my family and my family is negative or whatever? You can still build. You can still build different communities and different networks, and you can even show up powerfully in the networks that you currently have and hold a new standard for those networks and say, actually, I'm going to accept nothing less than integrity. I'm going to accept nothing less than authenticity. And you'll start to see that either those people will meet you where you're at or fall away. And that's perfect. Wherever it is, it's perfect. Shout out to Renee, who is in the Pregnant Mama Club as well, who said, I read a book, so now I'm an expert, with a laughy face, because Renee is in this work as well. And it is a really interesting thing now with all this information out there, with all these webinars and all these trainings. People take one training, they go to one seminar, they go to one workshop, they're in one community, and they're like, I am now going to say and regurgitate exactly what I read here, and I'm going to say it on a Facebook Live, and then I'm going to be an expert. And it doesn't work that way.
And it might be for a minute, right? Like, you might get a client that way. Yeah.
Depends on how you define work.
That's really true. It really does depend on that. Yeah. Yes, that's true. And and again, it's about being discerning, and it comes back again to the discerning and influence. Yes. And then also I want to touch on that as well, ego versus impact. Yes. So that is really where, like, something like that is like, that's ego, right? Like, a lot of that is being driven by the ego, like, okay, I'm going to call myself an expert, and it's not really being committed to the work, and I guess also the real impact that you can create through your work, because when you don't really know the work, how can you really create impact? So
if you're not creating an impact within yourself, you cannot possibly take somebody else to a place where you haven't been yet. You just can't, and that's okay. And yes, you want to start where you are, but be authentic about where you are. So many people, and I see it, I know a very particular person who I have in my brain right now, who has pictures of himself coming out of jets and doing all this stuff. And meanwhile, that was a jet that he was hired to shoot a commercial on. Yeah. But every post is like, living the high life takes work. And I'm like, that's not your high life. Yeah. You actually got paid to be cameraman on that shoot. Don't pretend like that's your life. And just be authentic, people. Like, this is, in today's world, if you guys are on any of these feeds and you're watching us, you're in the tribe. Like, you've heard some of our stuff before, and you have a responsibility, just like we do. We have a responsibility to actually show up as who we are. I see it in the comments. Be who you are. Be who you are. Yeah. Yes, we have a responsibility to be that. If we are being anything other than who we are, then we're, one, doing ourselves a massive disservice. Two, we're missing out on massive amounts of growth and exponential shifts within our own life. And three, we're lying to the world, and they're going to catch on sooner or later. So please do yourself a favor, do the world a favor, and just be who you are and own it. Own it, because the ego is going to want you to go, yeah, but you could just say that you're a coach. Yeah, but you could just say that you made 6 figures. No one will know. Yes. You could just say that these are your friends, even though you just ran into Will Smith And you were like, yo, can I grab a picture of you? Right? Like, you could just say it.
Yeah.
Or you could just be honest. And it's the game of the tortoise or the hare. And I think a lot of people want the hare. They're like, how can I get the fastest result? How can I get it now? How can I make the most money? How can my ego get the biggest payday possible? And the tortoise is going, how can I make the biggest impact?
Yeah.
How can I do it in a sustainable way? How can I ensure that I'm living from a space of alignment and authenticity? And to me, that is powerful.
And that is, and like you hit it there, it was sustainable. You know, like that. There's no point in these shorter term, which is all ego, right? Because the ego is all about that instant hit, that instant gratification, and we're trained and socialized now in this world that we live in. Everything is instant. Like this right now, like this is happening on 4 different streams, like instantaneously, like to you guys. And so it's like we want that hit, but in terms of the longer term possibilities and the sustainability, like the cost is so high, you know, to be driven for that short term hit. So it's just, it will catch up. And I think it's just really, again, about really being discerning around, you know, what is driving you, you know, and like what you are competing against as well, because ego is all competition. And so it's like when we're constantly looking, you know, at these influences or these numbers and all of these things, we think that's the way. Like, you know, I found out recently, like a lot of, like about like even just growing Instagrams and things like that, and how, and even like people, you know, buying PR, and it's just opening up your eyes and going, okay, seeing that, okay, that person got that feature because they paid for it, and just like things like that. And
even like New York Times bestseller, you can buy your way onto that.
You can buy basically everything these days, and so it's tempting. You know, it's tempting. It's that little hook where it's like, oh, you could buy that authority, right? Which isn't actually authentic because it hasn't, you know, and it's easy to get sucked into that space. But it's like, what are you doing it for? You know.
Well, and let's talk about that because I think all of us do this in some way or fashion in our life where we're kind of like stepping into a place where we're not authentically embodying it yet. Like there's probably an edge for all of us if we looked, right?
Yeah, of course.
But the cost of that, and this is what's really important to get, the cost of that is that you're constantly, going to be looking over your shoulder and going like, okay, I need to now hold myself to this standard and I now need to pretend that this is who I am. And the cost of it is also that you never actually get to see what you're actually made of.
Yes.
You never actually get to see what you're capable of.
What you could earn.
And this is, you know, it's going to lead us into another topic here, leading or following.
Yeah.
You know, and I talked about this a bit in Soul School this week, that you're either being a leader or you're being a follower. And not that there's anything wrong with following. I follow in a lot of facets in my life, and I lead in a lot of facets in my life. But when you're stepping into your particular niche that you want to carve out for yourself as an expert or an influencer or whatever it is you want to do, leading takes ingenuity. Leading takes innovation. Leading takes holding yourself to such a high standard where you're like, I'm in my lane and I'm going to be the best in my lane without looking at your lane and your lane and your lane and your lane. Because if I'm looking at the competition and I'm trying to keep up with competition, I'm essentially just doing what they're doing and I'm copycatting, which is essentially following.
Yep.
To really lead, we have to be outliers. We have to be so focused on our lane. We've got to be so willing to look outside the box, to expand our horizons of what's possible out there by first looking at what's possible in here.
Yeah.
Where have I not been willing to go yet within my leadership to see what's possible in my creativity? And that is leadership. And we see it from very few people nowadays. And we hold these people so high because we're like, damn, that's innovation.
Yeah.
You know, and it's powerful to see that. And then we see everyone else who's doing the exact same thing that everybody else is doing. And it's like, cool, but there's nothing like exciting about it. There's nothing sexy about it. So a little action tip for any of you who are looking to create something in your own space online. How can you do something different that nobody has done in your space yet? And it often comes down, it's really simple. It's usually just being yourself.
Yeah.
Right? That's like the easiest, lowest hanging fruit. Be yourself, because nobody else can do it how you're doing it. Nobody else can be weird like you and be silly like you and be quirky like you or be crazy and outlandish or shy and quiet. Whatever your thing is, own it. Own your thing. Stay in your lane and pave your path.
So many segues I want to take because we've had so many conversations. But one of the things that we were talking about yesterday, which was around that, you know, the 1,000 clients, right? The 1,000 true fans. And, you know, obviously a lot of the people that are on this live, and if you have any specific questions, shoot them through, we'll try to address them. But we're assuming you're kind of in the business space and looking to create impact, influence your business, or through however you show up in your life for that. But it's talking about, how little you actually need, because one of the biggest things that I talk about is about collaboration, and about really trying to fan the flames of that and really eradicate this competitive mindset that we have, in the world, but especially in business, and especially when you start to be in a certain space within your business, it does start to feel like everybody's doing the same thing.
Oh my gosh,
you're really,
sure.
Yeah, so staying in your lane and really trying to find out how you can innovate and not being threatened as well by people that are doing similar things.
Yeah.
Because you don't need as much as you probably think you need to actually have a really beautiful business, to make massive impact in the people's lives that you're serving.
Totally.
And also feel so much better about what you're creating when you don't have to constantly feel like,
more,
right?
I need
and
more.
They're doing that, I was going to do that, It's like you don't need that much to still create a massive impact.
And that's, let's kind of expand on the 1,000 True Fan theory. For any of you who don't know, I forget the author, but look it up, Google it. It's a hugely popular article that was written a couple years ago. And he talks about how all you need is 1,000 true fans, like people who really get you, people who really get your work, people who really see your heart. They see why you're up to what you're up to. And those people will support what you're up to and support the growth of your business if they're truly nurtured and taken care of in a way that's powerful.
Yeah.
But the problem is most people they have their 1,000 true fans. They already have them under their nose.
Yeah.
But they're going, I only have 1,000. Well, fuck my 1,000. I need 5,000. I need 10,000. I need 1 million, like so-and-so. I need 300,000 followers on Instagram, like so-and-so. And we forget about the people who are cheering us along from the get. And that is the thing that most people miss, is it's right under your nose. Your opportunity for growth, for scaling, for expansion, for even beginning your business is already there, but you're so focused on what you don't have that you're missing what you already do have. So look up that article, because that article shifted so much for me in terms of, I had already really been nurturing my tribe and my family, my online family, all you guys. And I love that. Like, I love the relationship I built with you guys. I love knowing your names. I love when I see you in the street where I'm like, I've seen your face. I know exactly what your picture is on Instagram or Facebook. I've never met you before. That's awesome to me. And what it comes down to, again, ego versus impact. Now, am I looking to be like, oh, I have 600,000 followers on Instagram. Impressive.
Right.
Or am I actually looking to go, I've made an extraordinary impact with one of my students today. Like, what's more powerful? And I think we get to check in with ourselves as leaders, all of us here listening as leaders. We get to check in with ourselves and go, is my ego driving this conversation? Is my ego wanting to do a launch and a funnel and a this and a that to earn more, to be more, to have more? Or is my impact driving this? Is it that I truly want to reach more people? Is it that I truly have a message that will shift somebody's life and change somebody's viewpoint of the world? And again, we're not all getting this perfect 100% of the time, but our job is to keep checking in and keep resetting the standard. Keep getting back into realignment when we get out of alignment and we start looking over there and going, oh no, Emily's doing this. That means I need to do this now. Get back into alignment. How do I serve? How can I create impact?
And I think, something that's super important, again, on this is around coming back to that community and the environment and the relationships, because it's so, like, the competitive mindset, the ego mindset, like, that's the default. Like, that's the stuff that our brain instantly goes to, like, okay, that is competition. Okay, I need to get numbers. Like, all of this ego stuff, like, that is our conditioned default pattern. And so it's like, that stuff is easy. It's pushing against it and thinking about impact and thinking about mission and sharing ideas and being generous and having the integrity. Like, that stuff is the road less are taken, because it's pushing against what we're societally conditioned to believe. And it's like, even like you and I, like, we do similar things. Like, and I have a lot of, like, all of my girlfriends that, that are in this work, like, Alexi and I are sharing a lot of ideas, and, probably more coming my way from Lex, but we're sharing,
you give me ideas too, mama.
We're sharing lots of, like, there's nothing that's off limits in the sense of, like, I'm not going to share that with you. I'm not going to tell you about that. I'm not going to tell you what's working, even though we run in very similar worlds, very similar, like, work. And that's, again, is why it's so important to surround yourself with people that allow you to really embody that new way of thinking. Like I've had friends who don't feel that way and who feel threatened or feel are in the more competitive mindset.
For sure.
And those friendships don't last because that doesn't feel good for me to be around that space, because then I have to feel like I have to close myself off and not share what works for me and not share my resources. And that's a very contracted way of living for me.
Yeah.
And so, you set the standard for what you want, and then you find the people around you that live in that same way, and that continues to feed. Okay, yeah, that is really important. Okay, yeah, I don't need to buy my beer. Okay, do you need to be focused on my mission? Like, okay, how can I? Yeah, and because you have that standard, you're like, okay, great. These people have done a really amazing job. You and Kristen both have built a massive, beautiful, impact-driven business.
Yeah.
The integrous way, or the high integrity way. So, and so having those examples. But if you can't strive for what you can't see, right?
Totally.
So if you're constantly surrounded by people that aren't in that alignment, then it doesn't feel like you can create that way.
And let's talk about, because that's so key, and there's probably a lot of people going, yes. Mm-hmm. How do I get those people?
Yeah.
Like, how do I reach those people? How do I change my network? How do I actually call in those people who inspire me, who lift me up, who call me forward?
Hello.
And I know there's so many people. I see all you guys. I see all these comments. I'm gonna come back and just love all of them. So I see all of it. But it's so true. Like, so many people are like, great, but how?
Yeah.
And it's exactly what we're talking about. It's collaboration. So how Emily and I met is she actually saw that Preston and I were coming to New Zealand, sent through an email and said, hey, I run conscious events here in New Zealand. I've got a whole conscious community of amazing entrepreneurs that would love you guys. I'm not sure if you have a place to stay yet, but two things. I'd love to throw you guys an event to help support what you're up to and get your name out to more people. And B, I've got this huge house with some empty rooms if you want a place to stay in the country. And we were like,
before I knew how Kristen rolled.
Before she actually met Preston. No, now they're like brother and sister. But we did a Skype chat or a Zoom chat and instantly hit it off. And it was the way she approached it was so much value added, with so much I see you and I want to serve you more. I want to serve your mission more because I see what you're up to. That I was a hell yes. And for anyone who knows me, most of you guys, I see a lot of my soul schoolers on here, a lot of my friends, a lot of my family. You guys know I don't live by my phone. My phone is off. Emily knows this for real. My phone is missing all the time. It's off on silent, dead in the distance
3
somewhere.
days, yeah.
I don't return phone calls. I don't get on phone calls. I'm not a technology person, even though I use it as a platform. I like to be in the real world. I'm a very real world, tangible, touch and feel type of girl. Yeah. But I instantly was like, we need to set up a call with this one. You felt different. It didn't feel like a taker. It felt like a giver. And we jump on a call with her, and she's so giving. She's like, and she's done her research, which I love.
The research.
And then we get to New Zealand, and here we are with this amazing person who's now become one of our closest friends. And we've traveled all around the world with you.
Yeah. I know, 6 months.
In 6 months.
It's crazy.
We've been everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's that how to, and kind of circling back as well to what you said around, because it can be a tricky transitional time where it's I've got these people and I know they're not aligned, but I want these other ones, but I don't know how. And there is that space of renegotiating how you engage with some of the people in your life that really are not in alignment and are not serving and are not empowering you to step into your impact or to create the life that you want to create just by who they are and how they show up for you.
Yeah.
And there is an element of you can't be sent what there's no room to deliver you, right? So it's if you're, every single night, got low power. If you're every single night, going and spending it at the bar with friends that you drink, smoke, talk about how expensive everything is and how they can't get ahead, that will be your reality, And there's also no space for anything.
Ooh.
Oh, hey,
hi, IG.
We are doing the do today.
We are doing it.
Showing up. So, there's no space for anything else to come in. So there is the renegotiation of who you are spending your time with and creating some space at least and putting yourself in and I talk about this a lot. It's put yourself in the way of opportunity and even one step further, create the opportunity.
Yes.
Opportunity doesn't just go, here you go. Yes. There's this really awesome opportunity.
You're awesome. I'm going to just hand this to you.
Right? It's not like that.
While we're on this topic, because we've been talking a lot about this too lately.
Yeah.
Entitlement. People everywhere. Please take heed. Entitlement sucks. And it's not going to get you anywhere. And so many people in today's world are sitting back, waiting for life to hand them everything on a silver platter, and then bitching about it when they don't get it. They're bitching about why they're not getting a raise. They're bitching about why they're not getting acknowledged. They're bitching about all these things, yet they're sitting back waiting to get what they're not willing to give. So I am saying this from a place of pure frustration and full trigger, because I've had multiple conversations in the last month with people who are in full-on victim mode, full-on blame mode, full-on I deserve everything, and yet they're not showing up. They're not willing to do the work. They're not showing up with enthusiasm, and they're wondering why their life looks the way it looks. So entitlement is the thing that will bury your influence like that. Like that.
Yeah.
So check yourself and get really humble. Because this is where I feel like in today's world, with the digital Insta, Facebook, everything, we're like, oh, well, it should just happen overnight. No, it takes time. It takes diligent effort and intention. It takes actually doing the work and showing up. It takes showing up and being the work.
Yeah.
Like, it is not this overnight process. And please stop waiting around, being in victim mode and blaming people out there and judging other people for doing what you don't have the balls to do. Get in the game.
We need a mic so we can drop.
I am like, she knows. I've been on one the last couple days. It might be pregnancy hormones.
It's amazing. It's
quite possibly.
Well, you and I both get triggered by very much similar things because we're so similar. So it's like, I think there's always so many like possible segues to go. But I think one of the biggest things as well is like, and that I see it's this people waiting for the perfect conditions, the perfect like time, and it's like. And the humble thing, it's like, even no matter where you are in your business, like you're always, or life, right, in business or life, it's like you're always looking to that next step. Not in a way that you're like hungry and you're like not happy with where you are, but in a space of like, okay, how can I create the next opportunity? Not like, when is the next opportunity going to land in my lap? It's like, how can I, what's my next opportunity? And so for me, it's like, I'm always thinking about, how can I add value to someone else that I want to connect to and build a relationship with? How can I? And that means I'm always doing things for free. I'm always doing, not always, but like I'm always looking to
add value.
Like I want to. Yeah, I'm always trying to add value because there's always another level. There's always a way I can expand more. And
but let me chime in.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Because you want to actually make an impact.
Yeah. To build.
Like, that's real.
Yeah.
That's a real thing for you.
Yeah.
It's not something she just says because it's trendy right now. Like, get this, because it's trendy right now to make an impact.
Yeah.
Have a social good business.
Yeah.
Cool. But if you don't actually care about that, you're actually not going to do the work that it takes to be that.
That's true.
So you do all of that from a space of your why.
Yeah.
Your why drives all that.
Yeah. It's true.
That's why you work so hard. That's why you get it. That's why we've been up. And it's like, you're in Hawaii, you're on vacation. It's like, yes, we're jumping in the ocean. Yes, we're doing all these fun things. But we're still working 8 to 12 hours a day.
And when we go to breakfast, I mean, today we were talking about random things. But I mean, like, we're talking about hiring.
Scaling, creating.
And, like, different things.
Yes.
And it's, coming back to this as well, and circling back to the, thinking about what it really takes and just hanging your hat on and, like, what is seen. And again, around being discerning, it's like, when you see the numbers, like you don't actually, the projection that we put onto that of like, okay, we see this 10,000 followers, 20,000, 100,000, million, whatever, it doesn't matter because wherever you get to that space, you're always wanting something more anyway. You still don't know what's going on behind the scenes to get to that, to get like what that person actually did to get there, but also like how they feel. Maybe they're not even happy with that. Maybe they're running, like, so it's just being super discerning around what we let influence us. Like, is it that number or are we influenced by who someone is, how they show up, what they're actually doing? But also it's like around, I just lost my train of thought. Sometimes this happens in mid-flow, I just like completely forget what I was about to say. It's going to come back to me and then I'm going to be like,
it was so good.
It was so good. So it was the, like what you actually see, it's like, it's literally like a movie. Like what you see of someone's like business, like, 'cause I'm talking about business, that impact and whatever it is, like
just even life.
Just life, yeah.
You see the highlight reel.
Yeah, and you see the result that you see on Instagram, on Facebook, on wherever you're seeing it, it's literally like the 90-minute reel, like it's like the movie, and there's 10,000 hours of stuff on the
Plus.
chopping floor, like that doesn't make it, you know,
Plus
like
10 years of some dude writing a screenplay that got turned down 1,000 times.
Seriously, yeah. There's been so many calls that didn't, you know, so many things that never went anywhere, so many calls that had to get made, like so many things that actually went into seeing what actually shows up online. So it's like, and again, it's like, I think what comes down to like really being committed to impact.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna take that.
Yes.
To really build something sustainable.
And this kind of goes into another topic we were talking about, how a lot of people now are just entering the digital space and like calling themselves an expert and putting on a hat, like, I'm going to be an expert now because that's what that person did, and they make money and they get to travel the world and laptop lifestyle and from Bali and blah, blah, blah. And like, literally I see videos like that. I don't know if it's just my feed, but I'm advertised all the time. I'm like, bitch, I'm already going to Bali with my laptop. It's okay.
I'm good. I've got it. Thank you.
Thank you. But people see that and they're like, I want that. I want the freedom. I want to travel. I want to like make good in the world with my expertise. And yes, you get to do all that from a place of actually being somebody who's in the work and doing the work and actually in practice of the work. Please don't forget that part. That is like the part, and the work is not just the self-work. It's not just the transformation, personal development, alignment work, integrity work, value work. It's also the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears work, the I don't feel like getting up early work, the I don't feel like staying up late work, the I don't feel like doing another phone call work, the I don't feel like answering another freaking email work, the boring work that is completely out of your zone of genius to build something sustainable. If you don't want to be a flash in the pan in your leadership, in your influence, in your expertise, be willing to show up for yourself. So many people are so incrementally lazy and they think that it's going to happen like that. And I hate to be the like bearer of bad news, but it's great news. Like, see what you're made of. Put your freaking ass on the line. Fail forward a bunch of times. Get in the game. Mess up. Do it a million times the wrong way until you land on the way that feels so freaking good and so right. Because that is what it takes. It doesn't take trying to be perfect and trying to have the perfect image and trying to make sure you say everything right and not actually living and being the space for the work that you're doing. And if you want real influence, you have to be real. If you want surface level influence, basic influence that isn't really, my numbers aren't really changing. Cool, because you're not. You're not transforming. You're not expanding. You're not growing in front of us. And people want that. They want real. And we were talking about like how authenticity is trendy now. Right? Yeah. My God.
Yeah, it's like, so and it's like the staged perfection or the staged kind of openness. And, you know, something that's really interesting, because, you know, I try to keep it, and I think it's like the responsibility as well as a leader to keep things as real as possible as well, which is, you know, exactly what, like saying, like, this is what it takes. And it's also like, you know, on my newsletters and things like that, I always like to actually share, like, yes, I'm traveling the world. Like, this is all happening, you know. I'm also writing this email from, like, the floor of the airport where I'm, like, in transit and I haven't slept for 2 days. And, like, and, like, you know, this and this is happening, and, like, all of the things that are actually going on, because it's, like, that is what's actually happening. Like, you know, moving around and time zones and this and that and changing team and, like, just all of that stuff. Like, it's also that responsibility to share that, you know, as well. And it's you know, something that actually I experienced, one of the things that landed for me through the bridge, which is one of Alexi and Preston's workshop, was really seeing because something around this authenticity, and you know, it's scary, right? Like, to be, because it's vulnerable, like it's about being vulnerable, fear of like being judged for it. And it's like, it's so scary for us to be vulnerable, but yet I would invite you to actually look and ask yourself this: how you feel when you see people being truly vulnerable. Like, it's actually the most see people like really, really sharing and being open. And I was like, I remember thinking that, and I was like, all these people, every time I saw someone become vulnerable and share and really be in their emotion, I was like, I just fell in love with you.
Oh,
like, I just am so much more drawn.
It's so good, and it's so funny because we really do. We think the opposite's going to happen. We think if I share this part of myself, someone's going to judge me. Someone's going to make a story up about me. Guess what? Someone's going to do it anyway. Anyway. And guess what? Second guess what? They can probably already smell that you're bullshitting. Like, they probably already can. And this was so me. Like, I used to walk around like my shit didn't stink. Like, everything was perfect. Like, I got it all figured out. Everything's under control.
Yeah.
I love control. Like,
Ooh, control.
Oh, control.
Yeah.
And that was my life. Like, I was a prisoner of my own control camp.
Yeah.
And, like, I literally could not get out of it. Like, I was so trapped in my own little prison of everything's great. Everything's perfect. No, I've got to figure it out. I don't need help. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
No, my relationship's great. All of that. And meanwhile, I was freaking dying on the inside because I had no space to be myself because I created my world to be that way. It was a reflection of what I thought I wanted was everyone to see me as this perfect vessel, right? Who doesn't mess up ever. And meanwhile, I was so miserable because I was trapped in that perfection of not being able to actually be human. Yeah. And then the more I started being human, I was like, oh, not only do I feel better, but I'm actually attracting,
which is huge.
Massive.
Yeah.
But I'm actually attracting people who show up the same.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my complaint back then was that, oh, I just feel like I don't have friends that like are really open and like, oh, it's because I'm not.
Yes.
It's because they're a perfect reflection of me. Doesn't that make sense? And the minute I started being open and vulnerable and sharing and actually like just being me, I started attracting people who were just being them.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that was easier than I thought.
Right. And it's so powerful. And again, it's that relationship and those networks and that community. Like it's going to mirror where you are and where you're at. And so if you're not willing to change it, you know, and it's about being willing to also shine because that can be uncomfortable. And I'll speak from from my Burning Man experience. Like the Burning Man, our crew, right, was like a very, very high vibes, very conscious, very committed, awesome, passionate, game-changing leaders. Like everyone in our tribe was like amazing. Yeah. And so, you know, that is great. And that's also very confronting because, you know, when you're used to sort of being one of those people, then you're put into a room full of people that are like, you know, whatever, above you, or not above, but like, you know.
The perception of.
That perception, it can be very triggering and uncomfortable, which is why I think a lot of people stay in their comfort zones of people because it can give you that ego boost, or it can feel really great that you're like adding more, you're above people, and these are just, you know, not the right words in terms of above, but that feeling, that projection. And it's like we have to be willing to get uncomfortable and put ourselves into those situations where we're, you know, I always say, like, if I want to be like the least qualified, least whatever person of the room, because then I'm like, okay, I'm in the right room because like, sure, it's comfortable to be like, yeah, I've got this and I know that or whatever, but you're not going to grow from that place. And so, you know, really shine the torch on places within myself that I still needed to grow, and that was like coming up for me by being surrounded by such beautiful, powerful people. But then at the end as well, which was something so beautiful, you know, we had this women's circle at the end where we just sort of sat and we shared, you know, what came up for us and in a really beautiful way. And it was so interesting because basically the same thing, right, came up for every single one of us. And it was just like, oh, okay. I've been in my head the whole time.
Oh.
Yeah.
We all have our shit. And this is a big thing to get, guys.
Big.
Everyone that you've got on a pedestal right now, I don't care who they are, if they're like the skinny little Instagram model or like the hot, brutish man or like the power player, whoever it is, whoever you've got on a pedestal, take them off a pedestal because they've got their shit. Yeah. We all have our shit. We are all human. Yeah. At the end of the day, we all take a shit. Yeah. And we all have a shit. You know, like we have our things that we're working through, and we all have our things. And maybe like some people's things are at a higher level because they've kind of graduated from maybe level 1 type problems. Yeah. But level 3, level 4, level 5 problems are still problems. Like, and everybody's facing off with a part of themselves that they haven't faced off with yet because we're all constantly evolving and growing. So take everyone off a pedestal, please. Do that for yourself. You'll start to see yourself on a pedestal in a way where you're like next to everybody else. And like, oh, I actually can do the same thing.
Totally.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, so to kind of like cap this thing, we really just want to remind you of a couple key takeaways here. Key takeaway number 1, don't be entitled. I'm just going to start with that one.
Leading with the one that's Trigger City right now.
Trigger City. Do not be entitled. Do not expect what you are not willing to be or give. Do not expect what you are not willing to be or give. I'll say it one more time just for extra emphasis. Do not expect what you are not willing to be or give from your partners, from your boss, from your kids, from your family, from your friends, from your money. Do not expect what you are not willing to give. That's number one. Takeaway number two.
Girl, okay, well, I've got to say, it's all about your environment, like your relationships environment, like that, you've got to be committed to mastering that and be committed to, or just leaning in, like being committed to leaning into checking into your environment, whether that is your relationships, whether that is your job, whether that is your business, whether that is your social media environment. That's all your environment. At every single moment, it is shaping you. It is influencing you. It is impacting you. So being discerning about who and what is around you. And that's going to just shape and change everything, like pretty much instantaneously.
Huge. So number two, network, community, massive. Number three.
And can I just quickly on that, because it's what you were sharing as well around really owning yourself, is like, what you were just saying around like the whatever you were just saying just before we did the takeaways, just like around owning yourself, taking people off the pedestal. Because in order to change your environment, change your relation, like you have to do that, and you have to come from that place of really seeing, because every single one of us in the world, every single one of you guys has something of value to someone. If you really are truly aligned with connecting to someone that you actually genuinely feel a pull for, you have something you can, but it's about, researching, finding out about them, but coming from a place of really owning your value and knowing with confidence that you have something you can contribute to those people, because you all do. So owning that, and that's kind of a how-to, and like the reaching out, and also like really, really focus on when you reach, like, how in this moment can I add value, and not approaching any of this stuff, the biggest, like, which is the ego. Take transaction out of it, like long-term game. Long-term game.
Long game.
Yeah, if you're just kind of going, I want something right now from this person,
don't even smell it.
Don't reach out.
We can smell it.
Be committed to the long term.
Yes, that's huge. Number three, and that's going to pick up right where you left off. Ego versus impact. Why are you in it? For those of you that wake up and don't feel like it, you're in it for the ego. For those of you who don't think that it should be this hard, ego. For those of you who are willing to work past your own bullshit and own excuses and your own reasons, impact. For those of you who are willing to reach out to people that scare the shit out of you to reach out to, impact. For those of you willing to get out of your own way and do that which you know is so uncomfortable for a mission and vision that is bigger than you, impact. So just check in where you're coming from. Are you looking for more numbers? Are you looking for laptop lifestyle, Bali, sexiness? Are you looking to brag and be like, I travel the world and I'm a digital nomad? Or do you actually want to like make a difference? Get real about it. And it's not either as good or
it's fine if you want that, but don't
just be real about it. Be like, yo, I'm in it for the money right now. Cool. I respect that so much more than someone who's like, I'm trying to make an impact with my work. And here's how I'm going to do it.
And it's 11 p.m. and a.m. and I'm sipping my acai bowl. And,
and I'm also complaining about why I don't have any clients right now. It's so strange. Ego versus impact. Check in. Get real. Get humble. Like, humble yourself down to, like, the spirit being that you are and say, I know I am everything in this human vessel, but I also know that this is a new field. I also know I'm stepping into a brand new arena, and there's some practice that goes in with that. There's some diligence and some commitment. That goes into it. And for those of you that like to whine and complain about your life, look at your life. Look at the results. And don't be shocked because you're whining and complaining instead of actually saying, what can I do about it? Like, that is freaking huge. And so many people miss that because they're so busy complaining, or they can't hear it because they're so busy bitching about how I'm so mean. And like, oh, well, who does she think she is? Maybe just take heed. And I'm saying it from the most humble place because I've been there. I was the person that used to bitch and complain about why shit wasn't working. And I spent so much time bitching and complaining that I didn't actually move. No needle moved. And then I found people that commiserated with me. Of course. I found them. And they validated me. They validated me, and I validated them. And then one day I got sick of it. I got sick of my own shit. So I'm speaking from the most humble place of being there and getting sick of my own shit, that will not get you very far. And hopefully me sharing this with you, any of you that are like, damn, I'm kind of in that place right now, hopefully you can hear it and shave a little time off, because I spent a lot of time in that place. So please, shave a little time off the victim stage, because that stage fucking sucks.
Yeah, that'll keep you exactly where you are for a long time. And it's, and I wanted to just touch quickly before you go as well, like on, because you said commitment there, which is one of my favorite words, because it's just like
next
you have
to integrous.
Be right. There's a few sexy words.
Sexy word.
And it's just like you have to be, and I think that commitment can grow. Like when you start to get results, you do start to get more and more committed, because you can kind of be empowered by what you're creating. Yeah. But it's also about, like, if you don't know the way out of where you are, like, be willing to invest and be willing to commit and be in that, because like you and I, like the investment never ends, like, because there's always another level. Like, put your money where your mouth is. Put your energy where your mouth is. Like, be willing to do the activity and the action, whatever that is. And this conflict opportunity, when an opportunity shows up for you, which, like I said, it doesn't always look like rainbows and lollipops. But it's something like an opportunity, a relationship, a connection, and something that, yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Like, yes, it doesn't always feel like something that is super, super easy to do. It's not supposed to. That's why most people don't have it. Don't have it, because it takes the stretch and it takes the commitment. So when it shows up and it feels uncomfortable, that's perfect. It's not supposed to feel like, it's supposed to feel scary. It's supposed to feel stretchy. Yes. Like, lean in.
And people go, but where do I find the opportunities? I get that one a lot. I don't know if you do.
No.
I don't live in a big city. I live in a small town. And so opportunities are around you all the time. There's an opportunity in front of you in line at Starbucks. There's an opportunity behind you in traffic. There's an opportunity to the left of you at the grocery store. We just don't choose to see them like that, because we just look at them as annoying people that are in our way, on our way to get coffee or on our way to check out at the grocery store. But if we actually opened up and talked to the humans that were around us, you would be shocked at how much opportunity is constantly around you. One person could say one thing that changes the entire course of your life. One thing. One person can know one person and make one introduction that changes the entire course of your business or your life, if it's a romantic introduction. You just never know. You just never know. And so many people are like, life is so hard. And it's like, life is like, but are you serious? Like, I'm giving you so much and you just don't see it. You're refusing to see it. You're refusing to accept it and acknowledge it. So it's not hard. You're just not choosing to see how easy it could actually be. So.
It's like a saying or a little story, whatever, where it's like this guy is drowning in this flood, and he's like, you know, the one, he's like on top of the roof, and he's like, gets sent a boat, and he's like,
he was praying to God. He's like, God, save me.
Yes. And the boat comes, and he's like, no, I'm good. God's got me. And then it's like,
he was praying for a helicopter, is what it was, or something like that.
Yeah. And he got like all of these different ways that like he was being saved from drowning. He's like, no, it's good. God's got me. So essentially, like, I'm looking for a certain way it's going to show up.
It's got to show up my way.
And missing all of these ways. But he ends up drowning, because he's like, wow, I thought God had me, and he didn't. And he's like, I sent you a boat, then I sent you this.
Then I sent you a dude on a kayak.
Right?
Then I sent you.
And so many of us are doing this. Like, well, I'm not doing it. Maybe sometimes I am doing it. Of course, I'm not perfect. But I know now I'm very grounded in the fact that opportunity is always there, and it's showing up. And not only do I take the opportunities that show up, as I know you do and as you have to do, but it's not just taking the opportunities that show up. It's being willing to put yourself in the place of even opportunity occurring. So many people don't even do that.
Which means open mind.
Totally. And then it's taking the opportunities that actually show up, and then it's being, and the next step is creating your own opportunities.
My God.
Not just being a space for opportunity, but creating it, going out and actually creating the opportunity. Like, everything that you want, like you've just said, it's one phone call, one email, one thing away.
One Google search away.
Seriously.
How many people write me and say, I don't know how to? I'm like, have you tried Google? Have you tried it?
Yeah.
Because this thing, Google, is pretty awesome. I have literally, and most people don't know this about me, I have self-taught myself.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
It's fine.
We're gonna keep it.
We'll keep it. I've self-taught myself how to speak and and how to edit videos, how to build websites, how to build marketing, how to do business. I have literally, There are online courses from Yale. Did you guys know that? That you can take for free. There's a platform called Coursera where you can take courses from all the best. I never went to college, but I take college courses all the time. I'm constantly educating myself. And I'm shocked that people don't actually just Google search it. Like, oh, you don't know and you're so helpless? Google search it. Google's got your back. Google's got your back.
Google has got your back.
Yes, it does.
Seriously, yeah, and there are so many resources. There's so many resources and so many ways to change the situation you are in right now, and not looking at what people have created and thinking, okay, they're there so they can create that. It's like everyone has started from, nothing, and it's like even when you get to a certain point, then there's just a different set of challenges that you have to address, so you never really get there, but it's like get in the game, whatever the game is for you, and then everything else you need will be sent, and then take it as it comes.
And let's finish, because this is a good thought to finish on. It's about getting in the game, not for the sake of winning the game.
Yes.
But for the sake of seeing who you become in the process of playing the game. That's why you get in the game in the first place. Not for the result, not for the 30,000 followers, not for laptop lifestyle, Balia, whatever. You get in the game to see who you become in the process of playing the game, to see what you're made of, to see what you're built of, to see what possibility lies within that heart, that spirit of yours. That's why you get in the game.
Yes.
And if you get in the game for any other reason than that, you're setting yourself up for failure every single time. Yes. Because expectations are a motherfucker.
And ego.
And ego is a motherfucker. And that will creep up on you. So play the game to see who you become. And you win. You automatically win.
Yeah, then you've already won.
Win. Yeah. And then you can just keep playing the game and play new game.
Win.
No matter what. Right. And from New Zealand, got rap and gangster in her blood.
I feel like Preston would have enjoyed that.
He would. We might have to watch the replay for Preston.
He's gonna laugh at me for that one.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So thanks for being with us, guys. That was really awesome. And we're going to go through and read all of your comments. Sorry that we couldn't really be back and forth with the comments, but we really appreciate you guys being a part of this conversation.
Yes.
Any way we can support you and you continuing to grow this. I know, Lexi, you still doing intake for?
I am not.
Okay, cool. So,
intake is currently closed.
Okay, cool. But
for my stuff.
For all of your stuff. Okay, so you can't work with Lexi.
You can watch my free stuff.
You can watch all of her free stuff at alexipanos.com. I'm currently taking applications for Conscious Boss Bootcamp, which is for conscious women in business looking to launch and grow their business. That's right. So hit me up if you want have any questions about that. But otherwise, just get in the game. Be the mission.
Awesome.
Be awesome.
Be awesome.
We love you.
We do. I just want to make a quick note. I think the face filter thing is on Instagram. Look how different it makes me look.
Oh, is it on?
I don't know.
Filter? Or maybe the lighting's just better over there.
Maybe the lighting's better.
I'm a little glossy down
Instagram's like, I'm going to heart you on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. See, we live in a filter life. I don't even know what I look like.
Right.
I don't even know what's real anymore.
That's
how hard it is.
Lots of different. I look different there than I do there, than I do there, than I do there.
What's happening?
What are you going to do?
Identity crisis.
Instagram Live cuts you off.
Oh,
wow. Okay, FYI, Instagram cuts you off.
Okay.
So we're getting cut off. So
all right, we love you guys. We're going to look at all these comments and heart and like and all that.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Facebook.